It's so easy every day, living in Lubbock, who on and only LBK. We got rock and roll, we got the blues, two-stepping in the honky tonks and our cowboy boots. Through the dust in review mirror you can see our rhythm and roots. Rhythm and roots. Welcome to another episode of Rhythm and Roots Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Robertson. Today we're inside Studio 1314 in downtown Lubbock at Citizens Tower, and I am here with my friend, Mr. Ron Riley. Ron, how you doing today, sir?
Fine, Jason. How are you?
Good. Thanks for taking the time to do this.
Honored to be here.
And let's just dive right in here. Let's just start from the beginning.
Most of my life has been spent here in Lubbock. I got here as quick as I could. Ran away from the Permian Basin.
Yeah.
And there was a lot there that was distasteful for me. But it ended up being my savior, in that I was able to start a business that was centered around the oil field. I didn't intend to do that. Wasn't my plan at all. When I was growing up, my father was in the lower end of the oil field as a roustabout and roughneck, and then a pumper. And he went to a little school, went to school a little bit there at Odessa College, and became knowledgeable about instrument work, that sort of thing. And we had a geologist living in our backyard, and my dad got interested in geology and got me interested in it and in rocks. But that's about as far as it went. I learned about stratigraphy to a certain degree, and I actually made a science project one year about the way that the overthrust happens, and with clay models. But I worked as my first big job. You know, my first job was at a filling station or service station as the guy that fills up the cars and greases them and washes them. Or actually before that was I swept up at a barber shop in Goldsmith, Texas. But I worked as a roustabout and then as a roughneck. And my dad decided that it was the best thing to teach me, since I didn't want to be a Marine like he was. It's the best thing to teach me that I didn't need a job in the oil field. I didn't want one in the oil field. So roustabouting and roughnecking were pretty tough. And I did them in the summer when it was the hottest it could possibly be. And then later on after that, I did them, did it whenever I could. But it was such a time in the oil field where you didn't have to stay where you didn't like it. And I was young, and I changed jobs every 3 to 6 months because I was, my grandfather had had this same thing. I was, felt like that I didn't belong there, and I need to go somewhere else. And my dad went to 13 different schools when he was growing up. And that was because his father was always mad at his employer. But I wasn't necessarily mad at the employer, but if I thought it was dangerous, if I thought the drive was too far, or if I thought they were picking on me, the schoolboy, too much, I did something else. So I did a lot of roughnecking, and then I came up here to Texas Tech on a tuba scholarship, which was sort of my salvation, get me out of Midland.
Were you in band
Odessa.
Growing up the whole time?
Mm-hmm. I was a soloist as a sixth grader, singing with I was the male soloist, but I sang with the highest voice you could possibly imagine. Descant, they called it. So I can't even imagine. There are no recordings of that. I can't even imagine how it
pre-pubescent voice
might have sounded. And my choir teacher, when I left grade school, I went to junior high. I started band, but she kept picking me up after school to take me to church choirs and stuff. But I played tuba in San Jacinto Junior High School in Odessa, Texas, until we moved to Midland. And that's joined the Lee High School Rebel Band, which it's got a different name now. And when I graduated there, I went straight to Lubbock. I had an offer from the University of Kansas for a scholarship, a full ride actually, but I decided to go to Lubbock because my sweetheart was still in Midland and close by. I ended up marrying her later on, twice, as a matter of fact. So,
and so were you in the Raiderland marching band?
I was. For a semester, I took all the humiliation I could possibly take from Dean Killian. And I know that's hard to say in this end of the world, but, if you were the brunt of his ire, it didn't work out. It didn't make you feel right. So I did it. Well, actually, the second semester, or the second year, I just didn't sign up for marching band.
Yeah.
I signed up for a lesson on tuba, and I wanted to be the best I could be to be in the concert band. When it got time to try out for the concert band, my teacher said, "Well, you're not eligible." I said, how do you know what? He said, "Well, you're just, it's part of the rules." I said, "What rules?" And they said, "Dean Killian's rules say that if you don't march in the marching band, you're not eligible to try out for the concert band." I said, "What about the oboe players? They don't march in the marching band, do they?" I went down and had a little talk with Dean, and he said, "Well, you're never going to make it as a musician. So why don't you just, find something else to do?" So I marched downstairs to the orchestra conductor's office and asked him if he needed an extra upright bass player, because I'd played bass in the jazz band in high school. And he said, "Sure." And I had a bass that was painted candy apple red with Testors model paint for your model cars, and it was painted red. And I brought it in and played it in the orchestra. Bought me a bow, and my golly, I went to work. I played in the orchestra, and Dean Killian wasn't going to keep me down.
I bet that was fun.
It was for a while, till they only had 3 bass players and needed 4. Finally, after about 6 or 8 months, they found that 4th, and I wasn't really up to snuff on it.
Yeah,
but I got better.
Very nice. So you've played a lot of different instruments over the years.
Yeah. Bass. And I was in a band here for a long time called Daddy's Money, and it was with James Otis Price, one of the finest drummers that you would have ever heard in your life. He played with James Brown. He played with Jimmy Reed, and James Price, Walt Driscoll, Ricky Horton, Norman Garrett, and Wade Griffin. A lot of those guys went off to form the group Element later on. Mm-hmm. And it was we did funk and jazz, and we had a sit-down gig at the Villa Club, and it was my introduction to something other than big band jazz and what I heard on my father's radio, which was hillbilly music.
Sure.
So I really loved the jazz all through high school and college, and it was my thing.
I wondered where your jazz and blues influence come from. If it was something that you grew up with, but obviously you grew up listening to country radio, and
absolutely, it was forced on me.
Yeah,
but it wasn't. It just in one ear and out the other. But my grandfather was a square dance caller.
Okay.
And I have his PA from the 40s still.
That's cool. Is it a Fender?
No, it's a Silvertone, and it's got its own little amplifier you bring out of the back of the speaker, set it up on top, and it's got a turntable built into the amplifier for the record, because the square dance caller just needed music in the background, so he could Alaman left, dope side,
a mic input.
And a mic input. That's right. And you could sing along or talk along with the records. And I would dance on my grandmother's feet. Learn how to do that sort of thing. And so the Bob Wills type of thing was really ingrained in me. Mm-hmm. And I had a song once upon a time, I still have that song, but I wrote a song called Playing Jazz. And it's basically about Bob Wills was playing jazz. Mm-hmm. You can call it country, and we do, and we love it. It's cow jazz, it's country swing, but it was those guys were improvising. They were doing a lot of the elements of jazz, and so I felt like the two, belong together.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. And so my early stuff, and even maybe today, if you were to look hard, you might find elements of country in anything that I do.
Yeah.
But I really prefer improvising and playing the blues and emoting in that way.
Well, you're very good at that. Very, very good.
It takes a lifetime to get there.
I bet. When did you start playing the harp? Was that something that you kind of always did, or did you just pick it up one day?
Dad got us all three. I have a younger brother and sister, and he got us all three harmonicas when I was about 11 or 12, 13 in there, and I learned to hold it out the window and make a noise that way. And I learned to breathe in and out. And I couldn't figure it out for years and years. And a lady I worked with showed me how to bend notes when I was about 22 or 3 years old, finally. And I never had a teacher until I started going to these harmonica conventions where people get together and actually try to help each other. I had asked a prominent harmonica player that used to come to town and play at Stubbs, and I just was in love with this playing, and this guy was so cool and had the swing about him. And I'd ask him, "Hey, how do you do that?" And he'd just go, "No, hold it in your mouth, I guess." And I was like, "What? But you, how do you get that sound?" He said, just that's what it is. And it never told me anything, told me anything. It was years before I ever figured anything out. And besides that, I had a life to live, and I had to end up, about lost my house trying to play music. And so I had to find a job in the oil field, I guess. That's when I began to be a well site geologist, a mud logger, and to try to put my finances right and not lose my house. I had a small house of $135 a month payment, and but I didn't want to lose it. So I decided that it was more important once you have an asset to try to hold on to it. And I did forsake music there for about 30 years.
That's a long break.
It's a long break.
Did you play it all on your own?
For about 10 years, no. Then after a time, I got together with my friend Chris Wilkerson and a fellow named Steve Lott, and we started a band called the Lott Riley Band. We did an album about 20 years ago. It was a really, but basically it was a demo. But in the end, I was coerced to release it on CD, and that's what it is today.
Did you feel like after that 10-year break that you were starting over? Was it hard for you to get back in the groove, or was it just natural?
Well, I didn't have the vocal ability or the guitar playing ability. I still don't play guitar very well. I enough to accompany myself. I certainly don't play to the level of the. I've had some great guitar players on the recordings that I've done, like Steve and like Jesse Taylor, and now, of course, I get to play with the wonderful John Sprott.
Yeah,
he's just amazing.
Y'all are one of my favorite bands in town, man.
We love it. It's just it's a favorite thing because we do get to go see what happens.
Yeah. Well, and the music you play is so fun.
Oh, good.
It's free.
Yeah.
You can tell that everybody's feeling it. Y'all have got such a connection and are so tight. I mean, you can feel it,
I feel it a lot. There are times when it's just, if you play in a band, there are those nights that you go, you could never have orchestrated it this way. And there are other times like it couldn't have gone worse.
Is there anybody that knows more songs by memory than John Sprott? It seems like it's just like an encyclopedia built in his brain.
Guy. I don't know anyone.
Yeah.
To answer your question, I used to be that way with my couple of hundred that I knew, but I bet I can't recall fully 50 of those now, since I haven't really. I think your brain works in a way where if you don't use it, but it's like a hard drive that's being compressed. It just sort of zips that stuff up, throws it in the back of your brain, and if you don't use it, it's there. But
yeah,
the recall is a little longer now.
So in the Lot Riley band, when y'all started it, how long did you guys play together?
Oh, a couple of years.
Couple of years,
yeah. But then there was, had different directions. I think Steve wanted to do something else. Not exactly certain about all that, but it had run its course.
Yeah.
We lost our bassist, and that was one of the cohesive things that uncohesed us.
It's funny how there's a certain energy and one person pulled out, it can disrupt that,
Yes. So I would hate for that to happen with any, even the business that I started. It had a dynamic where each person had his own contribution, and we relied upon that person for the thing that he did. And if he were to leave, we would all have to scramble to figure out how to replace him and to do something just as
mm-hmm.
just as rewarding, or just as just as big a contribution.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So through those years, is that when you really started leaning into the harp and started going to some of those conventions and learning?
I've been going about 10 years now to those conventions.
Now let's talk a little bit about those conventions. Were all these the spa conventions?
Yes, I've never done anything other than that. Well, I did one other thing, sort of a workshop at the Kerrville Folk Festival one time. Just went to see what it was about, but it was more rudimentary than what I was needing. But I didn't play at those conventions for years. I just walked around and listened and played in the corner,
Yeah.
And when I finally started playing, I started feeling like I was getting my chops up. I started getting a little more recognition, a little bit more raising of the eyebrow, you might say. And then this last year, I play Seidel harmonicas, and they're based out of Germany. They're the original harmonica that was ever made. And they were always popular in Europe, but never here. Hohner took over here many, many, many years ago, but they started including me on their poster as one of their endorsers. So it's like one of those bucket list things.
That's cool. Do you have any of the real old vintage ones, or yours more modern style?
Well, as a collector, I have some really old ones. My grandfather played harmonica.
Okay.
A little bit. Just more like country chugging.
Yeah.
And then another fellow, Arthur White, he owned a ranch that I basically grew up on. My footprints were that large in his front porch. And he played harmonica. And so I heard that a little bit growing up. My mother played clarinet, and I started piano when I was like 5 years old. And I was washed up by 7.
So you have played a little bit of everything. So it sounds like you were musically inclined from the start.
Sounds like it. Yeah. To me, I mean, my dad used to put me to bed with the radio. I guess they didn't want to sing me to sleep, so he put me to bed with the radio. And I can remember hearing Buddy Holly, early on.
Yeah.
Looking out my window at the bucking bronco on the Bronco Theater. I think that's what it was called. In Odessa, Texas. You could see the neon Bronco.
Is it like a drive-in theater?
It was. Yeah.
Yeah,
it was a drive-in theater. Yeah. I think it was called the Bronco Theater. Well, of course, I think that's their mascot there.
In Odessa?
Yeah. Okay. So, but I got out of there, and got up here in '69 and never really looked back.
Yeah.
They had actual music here. I'm sure there was music in the honky tonks around Midland. I know there was around Midland, Odessa, but I wasn't at the age to go into those honky tonks, and so I was able to come up to Texas Tech and see Don Caldwell. He was the sax player in the Texas Tech jazz band, and we came up and competed in that jazz competition, and we won. And he was the feature performer, and I remember going, "Wow, now there's a sax player for you." I'd never seen anything like that in Midland or Odessa.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you this because you're one of these guys who has played all over. I mean, you've been to Memphis, you've been to all over to these conventions, you've played across the country, I'm assuming. I know you have several times. To me, especially as a musician, I know that there's something special about Lubbock as far as music and musicians and artists. There's something that draw us here and keep us here. I don't see that in a lot of other places. I'm sure it's evident. But to me, Lubbock's special. It has such a really deep pocket of talent. Do you think it's just a regional thing? Do you think it's in the water, in the dirt? I hear a lot of people have different theories about it, you know?
Aliens,
yeah.
Well, I think we are what we are allowed to be. If you see your father acting up, you learn that you can act up.
Yeah.
If you see your mother playing guitar, you learn that you can play guitar, or you learn how. If you see other people doing it.
Yeah.
Well, I think that here in this area, there was, there was a climate, maybe by accident, of music from the 30s, from the Bob Wills era. And the ranch dances and things like that. And I think that over time, it just sort of expanded. And, Amarillo being Route 66 was a big deal. People passing through there, lots of musicians of all types. And then a little of it filtered down this way. I don't know. But I think once you start seeing a little music, hearing a little music, as a child, you start wanting to replicate it, I think. And I think there was just more of it here. The college with its music is music.
That's right.
I was playing band music and gravitated to big band jazz with Stan Kenton and my high school band director, Gene Smith. He was a proponent of jazz, and I began to love it, and I began to seek it out and search it. And after a time, I started seeking and searching out songwriters. Hey, how did that guy turn that phrase? That was pretty good.
Yeah,
I really enjoy that. And suddenly, I don't listen to anything but Guy Clark or John Prine or those type of folks.
Speaking my language now. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's words have always been big for me. I like the turn of a phrase. Mm-hmm. I like to try to make it tumble in your mouth or tumble out like dice, like naturally roll out of your, have a rhythm and mean something in the meantime.
Yeah.
But that's hard to do. I won't know that I've accomplished that, but I'd like to accomplish that before it's all over with.
Well, you have accomplished it on some levels. You've had several songs that you've written that have made the Lubbock music now, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Well, yes, 3 or 4. Actually.
Nice.
Yeah. And for what reason, I don't know. Maybe they like the rhythm. Maybe they like the progression. Maybe they like the words. Maybe they like my voice or the harmonica or whatever. I don't know what it is. I'm still hoping for better lyrical and better musical input from myself.
I think as a songwriter, I know for me, I'm always seeking better in every song. And maybe not better, but maybe deeper, or maybe spin it in a different way, that can mean something totally different to someone over here and then something completely different to someone else.
That's deep.
Yeah. And it's hard to do,
Every songwriter, the problem is, I think, and it's wonderful, but it's a problem for someone who's trying to create. But the problem is that, like, when you hear a Bob Dylan song, you know that's a Bob Dylan song, even though if somebody else is singing, you go, that's probably Bob Dylan, you know. And it's just in that style, and that it's the way that now someone else may take off with a little bit different rhythm, but if they stay close, his writing style or anyone's, Guy Clark's, John Prine's, their writing style, it's the same. It's so each album, if they're just playing the guitar and singing, everything sounds pretty much the same.
Yeah,
it's just the words and the delivery that are different, and so the subject. But it's hard. It's hard to come up with something genuinely fresh and new. So I don't worry about what comes to me. I try not to steal from other people consciously.
Sure.
But I'm sure in the back of your mind that it's all I had to go there to get here, you might say. That's a song I wrote a long time ago about everything you've done to this point, brought you to this point. Even the bad stuff that you did that you're not proud of brought you to this moment where I'm proud to be here.
That's cool.
You know, it's all just keep walking, keep putting one foot in front of the other, which is another thing. These guys I met at the harmonica convention. I met a guy that didn't speak any English, and I started, took him around Dallas and showing him stuff, with hand signals, yeah, it's very big. Go eat. Things like that. And we got to be friends, and we got together a few times. He came up to New Mexico and saw me one time, and we spent a week or so together. And finally, at one point, he asked me to start writing songs for his French blues band.
Oh, that's cool.
And I went, I don't speak French. No, you need to write these in English and in West Texan, and we'll send you the music, though. So they sent me music, and I wrote songs. And that album, that's a 5-song album, came out about a month ago.
Oh, I'm going to have to check that out.
A band called Thunder Rising.
Okay.
And one of the songs on there is "Keep Walking," and it's kind of the theme I have these days of get out of bed, put one foot in front of the other, and don't turn around, don't look back.
That's right.
And another one has to do with you do you, because nobody else can, and you're the best you that you can be, and the themes go that way with that one, but I don't know how that's going to go. We'll see.
Yeah,
they just released that stuff. It's on Spotify, I think.
Okay, so for you guys watching and listening, check out Thunder Rising. Thunder
Rising, yeah. Marco Balland is he's the harmonica player on it.
Oh wow,
yeah, he's a world-class.
So he's the guy you met at the convention,
right? Okay, and he's writing these songs, and he doesn't sing. And he doesn't he's not a lyricist. He doesn't, and especially English.
Yeah. And
he wants it to be in English. And
that's cool.
And he went through 3 singers after a while. And finally, after the 3rd or 4th singer, he asked me if I would be the singer. So it's nice to be 4th in line.
Well, 4th was just the right one, So let's talk about current stuff. So currently, you're playing with John Sprott Blues Band.
Correct. Yeah.
And that looks like a ton of fun, man.
It is. We don't overdo ourselves. We are able to play around here and there. We're going to be down in the Central Texas soon. We're booked later this year in Odessa and Midland, and we've been to Memphis to do that. And we'll be at the Texas Cafe, the Original Spoon, the 13th of this month, being 2024, September
13th. All right.
Yeah.
So that's next week. Perfect.
Yeah, Friday. It's our lucky day.
That's right.
And and those guys, I've been playing with those guys. Every time I needed a band to do something in the past that I didn't have one, those were my go-to guys. I've known John since he was 13 or 14 years old, and he hardly knew how to tune his guitar at the time. But
you wouldn't know it now, would you?
No. And then I've known Sean since he was like 17 or 18, and JT since he was 22 or so, something like that. So I've known all these guys a while.
So you've raised them all.
No, I didn't raise them. Believe me. I just, we had interactions and things like that.
Yeah.
But we've been working together on Mondays in a songwriting sort of capacity, where I come up with the hook and the lyrics and we get together and I have them put it together for me in what's in my head for the entire band. A little like the French situation, where they sent me the music first. So I get these guys together and we put the music together. I already have an idea how the lyrics are going to go, but I want the form down first now, just because I like the experiment.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to work.
Do you enjoy that collaboration with other musicians on crafting a song?
No. Well, I'm kind of a selfish kind of guy in that way. I want to say, hey, I wrote that song.
Yeah.
But, when it comes to the musical side of it, I want it to be a little more rich than I even though I went to Texas Tech studying music, I really I took it about 2 years worth, and then I realized that I was being pushed into a certain mold, and that also that I was making more money playing in the club than my main instructor was working for the university. And so I've spent all that time since then playing guitar as a troubadour out solo, traveled around a lot, played lots of clubs, lots of bars, lots of dives, lots of toilets and scumbag dives, and trying to regain, the naturalness that musical training can train out of you. You're trained to be automatic in a certain way, I think. Well, at least it starts off that way. And so I've spent a lot of time not trying to stay away from the musical conventions that the music school might teach you. And because I was raised on Hank Williams. Yeah. And I was raised on Bob Wills.
And that's really the blues, man.
It really all is the blues. It's all the blues,
man.
It is. Everything that we do in America comes from the blues. It's the jazz came from the blues, country came from the blues, and just and some of it came from Ireland, some of it came from Africa, some of it came from England, and different instruments amalgamated here, and I hope that's the right word. But it all came together here in the Delta and other places where there was oppression, and people had things to cry about and to lament. Mm-hmm. And so they did, and it found its way to being played on guitars and banjos and fiddles and that sort of thing, and harmonicas at some point.
Mm-hmm. I think that's why I'm always been drawn to the blues genres, because it's such it evokes such an emotion in you, because it's a feeling. You never know where it's going to go, but you know what feeling you're supposed to get when you feel the blues.
I write country songs all the time now, but I write blues songs too.
Yeah.
Because it's just got a different feel. It's got a different thing. I don't have any place for it, much of it, really. It's just a song that I own, that I have.
Yeah.
But I don't really have artists that I send music to.
Do it for the love of it.
Well, yeah, for the love of it. Well, I collect lyrics, you might say.
Yeah.
I have thousands of lyrics and very few songs. Well, less than thousands.
Yeah.
And I like to have a purpose for the song. Right now, I'm writing an album of blues, but, it's starting to sound a little like jazz, and it's starting to sound a little like country.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine sent me a song 20 years ago, and couldn't get it out of my head. And I realized, it needed another verse, and it needed to be rearranged a little bit. And I've been doing it a lot lately, and it'll be on there. So that's my real first collaborative effort to write with someone else. Except we weren't in the same room. He just he sent me a song that I felt like needed one more verse, and so I wrote it. And his name's Joey Allen. He used to play around here a lot, and he was a really fine. And I hear he's moving back, so we'll be maybe get to enjoy Joey. Nice. Over the coming years. He's a fine fella and a great singer and really an entity on the Lubbock music scene in the 80s, 90s.
Very nice.
Yeah.
If he gets back, let me know. I'd love to come meet him, and if he ever gets to play, I'd love to watch.
I hope so. Hope all that happens, but
so tell me where we can find where you guys are playing. Do you or John post it on social media, or do you have a website that you have a calendar on? I know Terry McEldowney and a lot of those other websites, Lubbock Live Music Scene is starting to post all the live music for the week. I didn't know if you guys posted it anywhere.
Really, no. Just my Facebook page.
Okay.
Ron Riley and John's Sprott's Facebook page. There may be a John Sprott Blues Band Facebook page. I believe there is, which I don't go there, so I don't know what's on there. But that's the venue if they have a good Facebook page. Okay. But generally, people have a way of getting the news out.
Oh yeah,
but. No, I wish I had something more like that. It takes time.
It does take time.
And I really don't want to give time to stuff like that anymore.
Time is probably the most precious thing that we have.
I think so. I've run out of time a couple of times, but been granted more time.
Yes, sir. Well, man, listen, I really appreciate you doing this today. Thank you for your time, because I know you are a busy man, and I'm looking forward to a performance. And, I want to thank you for being not only one of the top tier musicians, my opinion, in town and songwriters, but also for being a top tier supporter of other musicians and the arts. So thank you for what you do, man. It's very important.
Well, it's a small thing, but wherever you find people that need things, it's hard to find people who genuinely need them.
Yeah.
And are willing to actually get out and work. They need to do that for themselves. If someone's actually willing to work, I think we should try to help them along.
Absolutely. Well, and I ask a lot of my guests this, and we'll kind of wrap it up with this, and then we'll let you do your thing. I'm looking forward to the performance, but so if there's any young musicians, aspiring musicians, songwriters, whatever they may be, what advice would you give them if they're really wanting to pursue this? And if this is what they think about day in and day out, what would you tell them as a guy that's walked this life, and taken a break and come back into it?
There's two ways to go about it. One of them is all out and throw everything in and never give up. And that's what a lot of people I know have done. And some of them have made it well, and the others are still just scraping by. And they kind of wish they had learned something else along the way.
Yeah.
So I think it helps to be multidimensional and if you're going to be an artist, you have to do it art for art's sake, I think. And so if you're going to do art for art's sake, you're going to either be very poor or you're going to have a day job.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way you have to go about it. I did art for art's sake for a long time, and I started resenting the fact that I had to go and play for people waiting to eat at Steak and Ale, and they didn't really care if I played or not.
Yeah.
But I had to go do it in order to pay the rent, and that's not why I was playing. I was playing because I loved it, and I wanted to make some nice art and wanted to make some good music. But those jobs are few and far between. And if you can afford to be an artist, I think you should do it if you can afford to do that. But most of us can't afford to do that. We have to eat, and art sometimes doesn't pay the way. My hat's off to anybody who can do their art and live off of it and still love doing it.
Mine too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice answer. Very good perception.
I wish I could do it. I'm to a point now where I can do it, but
yes, sir.
But I had to go a very circuitous route.
Yeah. Well, thank you again. I appreciate your time today and talking to me about your story. And I've been a fan for a while. I've watched you and John's band for a couple years now, and I'm a fan of what you do. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you appreciate being on here.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys stay tuned. We're about to have a live performance from Mr. Ron Riley. You can catch this episode and many more on the City of Lubbock's YouTube channel, and go to the playlist Rhythm and Roots. Thanks again for tuning in, and stay tuned for some Ron Riley.
Hi. The song is one that I wrote because I had an instructor that told me that Bob Wills was not playing jazz. Even though we were in a jazz class, he wasn't going to teach it. But I thought I better write him a song. Funny thing, I entered the song in a contest, and when I showed up at the contest down in, I forget where it was now, but he was one of the judges and voted it one of the best songs in the contest. So it's called Playing Jazz Instead of Country Music, about Bob Wills. I spend most of my time out traveling around, and I play that country music, pass my hat all around. But I met a girl, she wouldn't even tip me a dime. She said, your rhythm's off, Ron, your boots ain't shine, you sing it through your nose and the words don't rhyme. She said, you're playing jazz instead of country music. You know, Bob never done it this way. He gave it snaz, he never abused it, and then he'd drag his fiddle out and he'd start to play. Well, you can sing me a song like Willie, you can make me cry like Hank. It really ain't too silly once you're putting it in the bank. Playing jazz to the country music, Bobby never done it this way. I said, now what can I do, baby, to put you at ease? You know, there's more to country music than yodel ladies. You know, you ought to try and learn to swing it, if you know what I mean. She said, how do you do that? You take your left hand, put it with your right, slap them both together, we'll be swinging all night. She said, but you're playing jazz to the country music. You know, Bob never done it this way. He gave it snaz, he never abused it, and then he'd drag his fiddle out. He'd start to play, well, you can sing me a song like Willie, you can make me cry like Hank. It really ain't too silly once you're taking it to the bank. Playing jazz to the country music, Bobby never done it this. That gal with the red dress on, some folks call her Dinah, stole my heart away from me down Carolina. Said, take me back to Tulsa, I'm too young to marry. Said, take me back to Tulsa, I'm too young to marry. Well, she ran around the outhouse. I ran around to meet her. She ran out. She pulled out a big buck knife. I pulled out for Tulsa. Sing, take me back to Tulsa. I'm too young to marry. Take me back to Tulsa. I'm too young for playing jazz to the country music. You know, Bob, he never done it this way. He gave it snaz. He never abused it. And then he'd drag his fiddle out and he'd start to play. Well, you can sing me a song like Willie. You can make me cry like Hank. It really ain't so silly once you're taking it to the bank. Playing jazz to the country music. Bob, he never done it this way. Bob Wills, he never done it this way. That ain't true. The fact is, Bob always done it this way. He was playing jazz. Thank y'all. There's a little snafu in the middle of that, but that's the way it goes when you're doing it live. The guitar itself lost almost a half step coming in this room. It's really strange. Well, I don't play guitar enough to make any difference. That's the thing. Yeah. Well, I mean, often enough is what I'm saying. Okay. I'd like to do one here. It's one of the only collaborative songs I've ever been a part of. And it was sent to me by my old friend Joey Allen. Pardon me. Oh, say 20 years ago. And just recently I decided that I wanted to write a couple of more lyrics for it and rearrange it a little bit. And I've started enjoying it. Bear with me here, please. Pour me one more shot of whiskey, and maybe things will be all right. Pour me one more shot of whiskey. I feel like Hank Williams tonight. Tell me, where is your compassion? Has your cold heart covered up its light? How many men now have you buried? I feel like Hank Williams tonight. If Hank was alive, I'm sure he'd agree it's better to live alone than in a house of misery. I've tried my best to love you and make things turn out right, but you can't live with a woman who wants to fuss and fight. Pour me one more shot of whiskey, then maybe things will turn out right. Pour me one more shot of whiskey. I feel like Hank Williams tonight. I'm long gone lonesome blue without you. A cheating heart is never right. I'd rather ride the number 9, dear. I feel like Hank Williams tonight. If Hank was alive, I know he'd agree. It's better to live alone than in a house of misery. I tried my best to love you, to make things turn out right, but you can't live with a woman who wants to fuss and fight. Pour me one more shot of whiskey, then maybe things will turn out right. Pour me one more shot of whiskey. I feel like Hank Williams tonight. I feel like Hank Williams tonight. I feel like Hank Williams tonight. Thank you. Thank you very much. What kind of intros are we looking for here? I mean, about the song, the story behind it. We've all had that gal that we really proud to go out with, you know, and glad that she's going home with us. And of course, we would like it when we walk into a room to have heads turn and say, my, Ron, you've outkicked your coverage on this one. You know, you're out of your league, you might say. This is it's one for you guys out there that got a woman at home that you're proud of. And, the gal at home drives me crazy, never lets me lay around the house being lazy, cause she squeezed me, please me, turn me every way but love. And when she goes out at night, hey, she looks so fine, makes me so proud to say that little gal is mine. Go ahead and strut your stuff, mama, but bring it home to papa. Save it up, gal, till I get home. It tastes so much better when we finally get alone. It don't make no difference, honey, where you get your appetite, long as you eat at home. I got a gal at home, drive me crazy, never lets me lay around the house being lazy, cause she squeezed me, please me, turn me every way but love. And when she goes out at night, you know she looks so fine, made me so proud to say that little gal is mine. Go ahead and strut your stuff, mama, but bring it home to papa. Met a gal tonight and she sure looked hot, and she took me by the hand out to the parking lot. She said, come on down, Ron, I got to have you right here. Had to tell her, no, 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 let me make things clear. Got a gal at home, drive me crazy, never lets me lay around the house being lazy, cause she squeezed me, please, man, turn me every way but love. And when she goes out at night, hey, she looks so fine, make me so proud to say that little gal is mine. Go ahead and strut your stuff, mama, but bring it home to papa. Go ahead and strut your stuff, mama, but bring it home to papa. Go ahead and strut your stuff, mama, but bring it home to papa. Yeah, you put on that red dress, honey, those high heels. You know that red wear a dress with the slit that goes all the way up the front so high you can, ooh, woman. The way you walk down the street ought to be a law against the way you wiggle when you walk and you giggle when you talk. Oh! Go ahead and spread your stuff, mama, but bring it home to papa. Thank you. These are songs I don't normally play on a guitar. I usually have a band, so it's kind of foreign to me a little bit, but I think you get the idea. Kind of the songwriter's journey. It all starts between the idea in the head and then the melody that comes out of the mouth and the words, and you've got to express it in some way. And for me, it's with the guitar, and I try to get the idea over to the other players with my guitar. But I wish I could play more of the songs that I write on guitar, but they don't seem to work out so well. That last one was one that was on one of the Lubbock Music Now videos. If you look it up, it's called Strut. Just type in Ron Riley and Strut. But this one here is another one called Billy, Buddy, and Willie. And it was another video that Lubbock Music Now saw fit to include on their album. And see if I can remember it here. Well, you know, Billy the Kid don't ride this range no more. Pat Garrett shot him down after busting in his door. He shot Billy right between the eyes. He said, "No more will you terrorize. I know that Billy the Kid won't be riding this range no more." Well, they say Buddy lives on in the twang of electric guitars. And you can hear the evidence on the radio in your car. I remember how Buddy sang every time I hear a Fender Mustang twang. Buddy lives on in the twang of electric guitars. Well, a wild bull rider pulls his own slack back, and a good gunfighter always checks his back. 'Cause if you want to stay number one, you better look out for that master gun, or Billy the Kid won't be riding this range no more. Ha ha! Well, you know Willie is the king of country soul. On a cart so long, no telling how many he's sold. Well, you know 1,000 men have tried, but one day when Willie himself decides, Willie won't need to be riding this range no more. Well, a wild bull rider pulls back his own slack, and a good gunfighter always checks his back for a sneak attack. 'Cause if you want to stay number one, you better look out for that faster gun, or Billy the Kid won't be riding this range no more. Well, you know Billy the Kid don't ride this range no more. Pat Garrett shot him down after busting in his door. He shot Billy right between the eyes. He said, "No more will you terrorize. I know that Billy the Kid won't be riding this range no more." And you know Billy the kid won't be riding this range no more. And you know Willie won't need to be riding this range no more. Ha ha! Woo! What'd I say now? Did I put the verse in about Buddy living on in the twang of electric guitar? I hope so. Okay. Guitar does sound good. It's just the room. I can't tell you what it would be. Y'all ready? You told me you would hold me until the day you died. I thought that you would love me, or say the reason why I don't know. Honey, I don't know. I don't know what to do about you anymore. You always talk about us like we're forevermore. Now I'm standing on your stoop. I can't get in your door. I don't know. Honey, I don't know. I don't know what to do about you anymore. Well, we fuss and we fight and make love through the night. Sun comes up, we start in and do the whole damn thing again. I don't know what to do about you anymore. I don't know what to do about you anymore. I don't know what to do about the way you do me anymore. Anymore. I don't know what to do about the way you do me anymore. If that 2 or 3 times, we'll be all right, won't we? All right. I don't know what this. I don't want it to sound like the rest of it. But. Not this one. got a harmonica, just breathe through it. Just try to warm it up. When a girl reaches the age of 18, she begins to feel half grown. That's the kind of girl you'll never find her home. Come and see me early in the morning, early about the break of day. You ought to saw my pillow where my baby used to lay. I've never done that where I just play harmonica and sing.